Well aware that visual novels based on manga are aimed at a totally different demographic than me, I do still enjoy reviewing them every now and then. They serve as my only real exposure to anime and manga. I used to watch Pokemon as a kid, but I don't think that really counts. And the odd Japanese exclusive Game Boy game every now and then never really does the source material any justice, or at least it refocuses the way it's portrayed. Walking around a town talking to cats and playing minigames as Tsukino Usagi doesn't really explain a damn what Sailor Moon is about, but if I could click through a bunch of text and occasionally make some story decisions, I might get a better idea. Anyway, Love Hina follows a young fellow called Keitaru Urishima and his attempts to fulfill a promise that he made with a girl when he was a little kid, that they would enter Tokyo University together and then fall in love forever. Apparently there's some law that those who enter Tokyo U together will then be together eternally. Weirdly, and which does not bode well at all for his ability to actually be accepted into said institution, he can't remember the name or the face of the little girl he made the promise to. And as if to prove the application board's point, he soundly fails the entrance exam twice, and his parents get sick of his incompetence. He goes to stay with his grandmother in her hotel, only to find it's been converted to a female-only dormitory. The tenants are about to kick him out when his aunt appears and announces that his grandmother has given him the deeds to the apartments. Slapstick and shōnen-style salaciousness abounds, and now this young idiot is the Karenin, a kind of landlord of a building full of gorgeous girls. I mean, the rest writes itself. Love Hina Advance doesn't follow the original plot of the manga too closely, but it sticks closer to the cartoon, from what I can make out, with enough additions to fit the structure needed for a game. There's not a ton for you to do yourself apart from click through the scenarios, although every now and then you'll get a time-sensitive decision to make, which lead to various branching paths or an increase or decrease in progress with a particular girl. Each girl has a love meter represented by those hearts on the left-hand side of the screen. If you do something right or say the right thing to them, hearts will get added to this meter, and you can progress with them too. Say the wrong thing, and not only will you lose love hearts, but will often get kicked, punched, thrown, and otherwise physically abused by the girls. They're mostly all initially quite hostile to you in that typical tsundere way, but you can win them around, against all odds. Not only a love counter, but you'll also have a hit point counter, which diminishes when you get your ass handed to you. And if this empties, you'll actually game over and have to start again. But it is frequently replenished, and can even get larger by reaching points in the story where Keitaru takes a bath or something. You do have the option to save regularly, and there are multiple save slots if you don't want to redo everything, or if you feel you want to take a different route. So yeah, it's a really cool way to experience the story, with a bit more interaction than you usually find in visual novel games. I do always say that these aren't aimed at me, but if one comes across like this one does, I do usually end up enjoying them to a degree. They're a nice change of pace from what I usually get to review. The art style here isn't original to the game, but it is fantastic, as you'd expect, with some very impressive animation taken straight from the TV show, and digitized voice samples that are about as clear as I've ever heard from the GBA. Love Hina Advance is truncated enough that it doesn't drag on for ages, which some fans didn't like too much, but it worked for me, and there are a bunch of different endings to experience, so replayability is pretty high. You don't need to worry about the language barrier either. There's an awesome fan translation that is complete enough that the majority of the game is definitely playable if you struggle with the Japanese. Superb music as well, with a really varied soundtrack that I can totally see myself just listening to on its own. I guess it helps if you're familiar with the source material in some form, but it's definitely not a prerequisite, and if you're not currently a fan of Love Hina, you might be after playing this.